Are You the One is a first of its kind dating show that's now streaming on Paramount Plus. We've got the host, Kamie Crawford, here to chat all about it. Thank you so much for your time today.
Of course, thank you for having me.
22 singles from around the globe looking for their soulmate. Tell me a little bit about the premise of the show.
Yeah, so basically, like you said, there are 22 singles from around the world, and we have our expert matchmakers in place who find everyone's perfect matches. So there are 11 perfect matches, and the job of everyone in the house is to date around, go outside of their usual types, get to know each other, through a series of dates and challenges and plenty of drama that they have to sift through. In order to find out who their perfect match really is. And if they do find them, all 11 couples find each other, then they win true love and $1 million. But if they don't, and they stick to what they, are used to, and they don't actually step outside of the box, they can lose $250,000 from week to week if they don't get any new matches. So there's a lot on the line here, and it's so fun to watch. But you're rooting for certain couples, but then if you find out that they're not a match, it's devastating.
I mean, let's talk a little bit about the show, but also dating and, for everybody else, who's watching the show, because it almost reminds me of maybe the story of the Three Little Bears, where sometimes you're showing too much too soon, you're not showing enough. And sometimes you're trying to, you're looking for that partner to be just right. Talk a little bit about maybe the energy that you give off and maybe looking outside of your normal realm of your dating pool.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's a part of having the new global season. That's what makes it so exciting, is that people are really able to step outside of their normal dating pool. So, your local talent may not be popping like, the talent across the pond, which is really exciting for them to be able to date different people, get to know other people, other cultures. But I think it just all plays into the fact that, like, sometimes you think you know what's best for you, but it's really nice to be able to get to know other people and just date around. I feel like we get so stuck into our normal types, and you see them on the first night coming in like, I only date this kind of person, or I usually only look at this kind of person. And it's like, well, if that's what you've been going for and you're in this house, maybe it's not what's best.
Let's talk a little bit about filming in Spain, because like you said, outside of your normal dating pool, but getting to go somewhere, especially for those that in the US, somewhere exotic, somewhere fun, and just kind of taking your mind off your everyday life and being able to just focus on love in this beautiful location.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was super fun, hosting Catfish. We don't really go to luxurious places all that often. So this was like a really nice staycation for me. But for the cast too, it's a very romantic setting. You don't have your normal distractions, you don't have phones, you're not, hanging around with your normal friends. So being able to just date and not have any distractions is really nice, because, we don't get that in the normal world.
Speaking of Catfish, I was going to wait till later, but since you just brought it up, as far as maybe the mistakes that people do or the desires that people have, or just what you've seen, especially going into 2023 when people want to change their dating lives, what's a message you can say from doing this show and from the other show, as far as like, here's where your headspace should be if you're looking for love in 2023.
Yeah, I think don't get stuck on the facades. We put up so many masks, and people can portray themselves as anything. So you have to go deeper. Surface level is not enough anymore. I think post-pandemic, we're really understanding what the value of true relationships and what that can bring into our lives. And I think, with this show, with any show in real life, beauty is more than just skin deep. So you really have to get to know people.
Especially going into these, a couple episodes that are already streaming. Let's talk a little bit about the reaction of the 22 singles of maybe dating outside of their normal type and being able that, that first initial attraction.
Yeah, I mean, well, those two episodes were so spicy. I don't even know what's to come, because I haven't seen anything. And once I leave for the day, I'm out. I would stick around a little bit just to like monitor them and watch them. It was like I felt like Big Brother a little bit. But I don't see what they do. So now that I'm watching them and I'm like, oh gosh, like this is how you guys really interact. It was crazy. It was crazy. But I am hoping, and I know that we will see people experience a lot of personal growth on the show, and really get to know themselves as well as branching out.
Because I think people get stuck in their ways, and then sometimes it takes an experience like this to make you realize, like, oh my goodness, this is where I was meant to be, or this is what I truly love without kind of all the masks that you put on.
Yes, yes. I mean, I no spoilers, but I watched Brooke last night on, episode 2, and she was talking to somebody different, and she started to cry because she was just like, I this is what I've been wanting. This is what I've been looking for. And none of the guys that I've ever talked to in my life have given me this. And it made me emotional because, obviously I know her, but just to see like even that slight instance of realization that like actually this is what I deserve, and I deserve more than what I've been getting, it's beautiful to watch.
I do want to talk a little bit, on the flip side too, because I think a lot of people are doing some reflective work, especially as the new year comes and it's their New Year's resolution to find love. But often, we look outside and say, oh, this is my type. I don't like this person. But often we don't take a look at ourselves as like, what's the energy that we're giving off? Maybe something from this show that we can learn as far as maybe changing the way that we look at life and, the energy that we're giving off as far as looking for a partner.
Yes, we talk about this a lot on and off screen on the show, just about, past experiences, because they do play a huge role in, who we are and what we end up becoming. What we've seen in our household ends up being reflected in our dating strategy when we grow up. And I think that, you'll see that on the show. You'll see the personal growth and how much we discuss that, because I think that plays a huge role in how we date and the people that we end up going for. So it's interesting to watch, but I think self-work, you can never lose when you're doing self-work. You might not get the swipes that you want on the dating apps, but at the end of the day, if you're happy with yourself, that's more important than being happy with somebody else, in my
Well,
opinion.
Well, we're excited to see how these 22 singles match up, and we hope all 11 of them, find their soulmate. And we can't wait to continue watching Are You the One, now streaming on Paramount Plus. Kamie, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.